MD number 56. Beware of bots. From now on, if anyone claims to be a true expert and brings news from O1, it's a sham. At the 27th of June 2026 1. Regarding auspicious matters, there are many rumors and discussions. Thinkers ponder and think, this should be auspicious, that should be auspicious. For example, if you want popularity, plant a star gooseberry tree. If you want to be rich, plant a money tree. Except for the monitor lizard, keep it far away. But if it's a money tree, you can plant it, but don't bring the money tree into the house. Auspiciousness in life, this and that. It goes on, but there's no conclusion. The Buddha taught about what is auspicious in life, concluding that it is a sequence of life stages, like a ladder with 38 steps. The very first step. 2. Because people encounter many people, sometimes we need to differentiate them. We need to be able to distinguish who to associate with and who not to associate with, and so on. Associating with wicked people leads to wrongdoing. Associating with wise people leads to virtuous results, and so on, all the way to a peaceful mind and eventually to nirvana, step by step. This knowledge about the 38 steps of life is universal knowledge that everyone in the world must study. If we don't study about auspicious aspects of life, it means that our lives are about to be filled with something bad. If we don't know how to choose between what is auspicious and what is inauspicious, then this is it. 3. Hello everyone. This is a special video made without knowing if we will be able to make more videos after this. But this is something important that I must talk about as Kyangtawan Su Sudama. Many things that haven't been discussed in this video, but have happened and are updated on Facebook. The Facebook page is Kyangtawan Su Sudama. If you can't find it, type the English spelling with a capital M, ink and wan together, and you will find the page, which is Kyangtawan Su Sudama. What am I telling you today? After a dream that revealed the truth from the real O1, he saw that there are children who practice Dharma regularly and have pure hearts, not caught in delusion. This allows you to transmit various stories by having dreams and then telling Kyangtawan. 4. Then Kyangtawan will have advisors, who are true experts, to explain clearly whether the dream really came from O1 or not, and what it should say. Because if we put the dream into Google for interpretation, it will come out as psychological predictions, which will not be accurate according to what O1 really wants to say. Therefore, it does not fall under the category of psychological interpretation of dreams that O1 has had those with merit dream and tell us throughout the past. However, from now on, perhaps after the end of June onwards, many things that Kyangtawan has explained, even in the December 2025 video, we said that the real O1 revealed that they will create impersonators or lookalikes. What we call O1's doppelgangers, because the people behind the scenes who seized control of the management of Wat Phra Dhammakaya and its branches worldwide. 5. They want what they really want. They don't want Wat Phra Dhammakaya, but they want something that the people of Wat Phra Dhammakaya can create, with many people working together without being hired. Because it relies on the concept of merit, and people who believe in merit and want to gain merit. He would then pretend to be dead, thinking that he would gain merit for doing so. This is the only reasoning that would lead temple people, who know nothing and don't want to know anything, to fall into their game and work for them without gaining any merit, and instead accumulating sin. Importantly, they are indoctrinated to believe that there is a real O1, or Phra Dhammachayo in the temple giving all the orders. All the things they are asked to do are what create delusion. And delusion is the tool of Mara, which obscures the seeing, remembering, thinking, and knowing of everyone's practice of Dharma. 6. Even those who have previously meditated in the light, seen the Buddha, and understood the Buddha, if they are careless and fall into the trap of delusion, their consciousness and awareness are controlled, and they become their puppets. When delusion takes over, they will be unable to think and reason properly. Their meditation will be dark because delusion is like a black cloth that covers the light of wisdom, preventing merit from entering. It makes it impossible to make sound judgments like a person with intelligence. Ultimately, they will lose their merit and die. If people observe carefully, they will feel this as well. Lately, Starting from 2024 onwards, there have been many deaths of people who were devout donors to the temple. But why did they die? It's true that when your time comes, you must die. But there's a belief that Luangpur Dhammajayo taught during his time as leader. 7. The merit accumulated through collective good deeds, truly stemming from the original intention of the person performing the good deeds, can mitigate karmic consequences. However, the problem is that when it's not truly from the original intention, its power, merit, and purity are lacking. Because if it's not genuine, it immediately becomes untrue. It's not that there's a mix of truth and demerit, it's not like that. In terms of merit and demerit, it's very clear. If you look at the details, you'll see whether it's painted white or painted black. But most of us, especially Luangpur's disciples, whether in the inner or outer areas, if you were to find someone with such a refined understanding of Dharma that they could truly see merit and demerit as black or white, that person wouldn't be in Wat Phra Dhammakaya anymore. They wouldn't be in any of the temple's branches worldwide either, because they can't stay. They've seen it, and they don't want to accumulate sin or have the seeds of sin. 8. This is where the people involved with the temple today are lost in delusion and solely drawn to the forces of sin. This is extremely dangerous. We, the group that has been following the stories from Kyongtawin Susutam, have clearly stated that many of the things we answer are not Kyongtawan's own responses, but from truly knowledgeable sources. From the writing of the true stories, the famous temple in August 2018, the truth about the famous temple from the dragon hiding its body incident, that was the beginning. It came from a true O1, a person with inside knowledge, who passed the information to Kyongtawin, who then shared it with the abbot's disciples. It was when this information was passed around and entered the temple that those who have harbored ill will towards the abbot and have been harming him all along, created new rules and claimed that the information Kyongtawin provided was distorted and misleading. 9. And they claim to have received a sermon from O1, saying that anyone who claims that the abbot used methods like hiding their body or influencing minds to do things for them is lying. If anyone makes such a claim, know that it's nonsense, and don't let this nonsense continue. This is a message that was released during that time, which of course Kyongtawin had already obtained before writing it. When compiling and sending it out, she knew that if the real O1 could still contact and give orders himself, he wouldn't need to rely on the true enlightened one to pass on information to Kyongtawin to tell everyone. When O1 could no longer contact and give orders himself, he needed to find a way to tell the truth that his freedom had been taken away, that he could no longer give orders. That's how the Dhammakaya method came about. By using someone he had trained himself, whom we call the true enlightened one, to transmit information through communication. This enlightened one then received the message and passed it on to Kyongtawin, who then transmitted it to others. Therefore, the information that was released was actually communicated through a special method of the Dhammakaya method. In fact, that method has been used continuously until this year. From August 2018 until this year, 2026, which will be 8 years in August. However, the success that came from that kind of communication has many limitations. And there are few people who believe in it, while the temple itself has clearly shown that it rejects or does not allow anyone to know about this method at all. This is where it becomes clear that all of Luangpur's disciples haven't received any information from Kyongtawin, because they've been misled by the mafia within the temple. Therefore, these stories only reach a small group of people. Of course, we don't encourage anyone to be against the temple, nor do we suppress anyone in the temple, because that's not our responsibility. Our duty is to receive and transmit information. 11. As O1 requested, we are not involved in verifying the truth or arresting anyone for wrongdoing. This is why we've been able to continue without them bothering us. However, they have benefited from the information we've shared, the knowledge O1 taught us, which we then use to inform other devotees. And believe it or not, when they wanted to find fault with us, they acquired a lot of the principles O1 had taught them. They used these principles to learn how to prevent, correct, and be cautious, so they wouldn't make mistakes. But their cruelty lies in their desire to use people from the temple who possess qualities like ours. In fact, there have been many dreams that Kyontawin has learned from O1, indicating that O6 has been trying to recruit Kyontawin to work for them, as if recognizing our loyalty and faithfulness. So they wanted to use us. To work for them by showing them that we can convey the principles of O1 to the leading figures in merit making, those who are actively building merit. They will agree with the principles we present because these leading figures in merit making will listen to and follow Luang Por, the venerable abbot, seriously, just like us. Though perhaps not to the same degree. Therefore, if they follow us, or if they mean O6, and we get our help, it will be like they have a tool to motivate the core leaders. The talented leaders of Luang Por, to work for Luang Por even though Luang Por isn't actually present. They will claim that they are doing what is Luang Por's policy. That they are acting on Luang Por's behalf when he is unable to do so. Incidentally, we have received information from O1 all along about the true situation and that they don't actually have O1. They are deceiving people. 13. And their intention in deception is to take the funds obtained from the collective effort of organizing this activity and divide 70% with the purple higher-ups. And then they will distribute it among themselves at each stage of organizing these major activities. Wherever they can profit, they all benefit, at every level. It's become a matter of activities for personal gain, specific to the groups that cooperate with them. Since people don't see merit, they don't see sin either. Because of these two things. If they don't have a conscience that truly believes in merit and sin, they will never be able to bring themselves to think about the shame of committing sins or have any fear of sin. This is why the Wat Phra Dhammakaya organization and its branches have become tools for those behind the scenes to make a living. 14. Where are those 70% behind the purple faction? Much of the information that Kyontawin has shared has already been explained, and it's related to Islam. I've explained how they are related. Anyone who listens to MD 68.2 and MD 68.3 will understand. Wow, there are so many intricate details. There are many people who don't want to believe it and choose not to listen at all. We really want to say that you have to think, how could Kyontawin suddenly say something like that if she didn't really know? And people, if they don't know everything, they can't talk about it. They can't tell the story. They can't say what happened, when, how, who did what to make it turn out like that. They can't talk about it. Everyone has to understand and accept that Kyontawin can't know many things herself. She can't talk about it herself. 15. It all came from information given through true experts. However, these times have passed, many years. What O1 tried to make the children know so that they could do something in a timely manner and have the opportunity to meet everyone. But no one could make it happen, and no one could solve the problems of this organization. Finally, it's like now, in the temple, since May 13, 2026. They started the Dream Kindergarten School program again. It's like Luang Por O1 came to teach. There's been news like that, but they're using his audio teachings while covering up his still image. Claiming that it's him who came, but they can't release the video because they're afraid of interference. This information was received by the temple community via line. And they passed it on to each other. It made us realize that, in reality, 16. In the temple, they want to exploit the reputation of Luang Por O1. Not only that, they also want to create a more tangible presence for him to build 100% confidence among the sponsors. They want 100% confidence for what? To ensure that these people will come, bring money for them, and provide free labor for various events. We use the term, various events, because they don't see it as merit making, they see it as an event to maximize profits. And 70% of that profit has to go to the purple-colored higher-ups as a bribe. It's like an agreement that O6, or Phra Maha Dr. Samchai, made. This information comes from the new group of devotees that we've heard about before. This new group has a room they call the Head's Room, where they hold meetings and obtain information, which is considered firmly confirmed. 17. because they don't call him O6, but they say they use his full name. Regarding Fra Maha Dr. Samchai, many things have already confirmed this. Even O6 himself has never denied anything, whether he did it or not. But the important thing is that when he wanted to, he insisted on paying 70% in tribute. And it's like his work has become evident over the years. Major projects have been successfully completed, and it was the right agreement or decision to divide the benefits. It made him not obstruct the creation of large projects. In fact, he supported them to ensure they ran smoothly. O6 thought this was clever. He thought that the abbot should have done this from the beginning so that the work of the Buddhist religion could move forward. If it were a worldly matter, this kind of thinking would be wise. But because it involves merit and sin, it becomes something that cannot be done. 18. If he did it, it would be a sin. But O6 didn't care because he didn't see sin. And when we wondered why, he has a doctorate in Buddhism, and he even preaches to lay people about merit and sin, yet he himself committed a grave sin. He dared to do it even when Abbot O1 was still alive. As anyone may have heard, in late 2014, the Phra Thadachivo Pagoda was built. But it originated from the beginning of the year when O1 suddenly invited his disciples to raise funds to show gratitude and worship Phra Thadachivo, or O2, saying that when he turned 75, he would be able to go and live there. It was like building an empire for him in his life. After 75, he would be able to live in Kanchanaburi, his birthplace. It was around that time when the ASEAN Economic Community, AEC, was being opened, and so on. 19. That is, Luangpur Dhammachayo, at that time, spoke at the Phra Dhammakaya kindergarten school. He wanted to let them know that it was time for O2 to need his own empire to spend his later years as a monk there. So O1 invited his disciples to help build it and raised funds himself. He announced it on air every day. I don't remember if it was a full month that he announced it and finally reached his goal. Then he instructed that the Phra Thadachivo Pagoda and the center there be completed within 3 months so that it would be ready in December, which is O2's birthday in December. So, we were going to celebrate O2's birthday by going to the new center, which is the kingdom of O2. O1 really encouraged his children to build it. That was a great merit, and everyone participated fully. But who would have known that the construction wasn't finished? And O1 inspired the truly wise one to go and see. 20. On the day they were bringing the relics to the youth training center, to welcome the monks who were on pilgrimage to bring the relics, on that day, the truly wise one went to welcome them. And then O1 inspired me to go and see the site where the Tatachivo stupa was being built, to see how it was doing, because it was almost finished. It had a schedule set for the stupa to be celebrated in December, and it was probably in September when everyone went to welcome the monks and bring the relics to be enshrined in the stupa. It turned out that when I arrived, there was no construction. It was incomplete. The stupa itself was still just a small stupa, not finished at all, and there were no workers. The truly wise one wondered how to find out, but couldn't see anyone. I couldn't ask anything. I was about to leave when a monk came out and asked who I was looking for. So I talked to a monk and listened to him explain why this area wasn't built. 21. I thought it was finished, but the monk said it couldn't be built because there was no money. I asked why there was no money, since Luangpur Dhammachayo himself had raised the funds, and so many donors had contributed. Where did all the money go? The monk answered frankly, how could there be any money? Because Fra Maha Dr. Samchai withdrew all the money, saying he would repay the cooperative donors. This isn't something I just made up. Everyone who knows the truth heard it firsthand. That's how I, O1, learned the truth too. But I didn't do anything at that time. It wasn't until the new year, 2015, during the Buddhist Lent, around September, that I heard from someone who witnessed the event that O6 was called to meet with O1. There weren't people there, but some overheard and some watched. So they are witnesses. 22. Did O1 ask O6 about the money used to build the Thadachivo Pagoda? He remained silent. His silence means he didn't deny it. But when he asked why he took it, he didn't answer. He didn't answer where he took it, why he took it, where he took it, or who he gave it to. He didn't answer at all. It made me think that, as the abbot, I had to figure out what to do with a monk who took temple money without telling anyone, without saying where he took it, and without saying what he did with it. It showed that he didn't want people to know because he didn't want us to ask for it back, right? This is what made me decide that if he chose this method, it meant he didn't want to improve himself because he didn't see that he had done anything wrong. And if I let it slide, it meant he could do it again in the future. Therefore, I couldn't let it slide, so I told him to leave the temple and never come back. It was a statement similar to the case of Fra Damacceo. He was decisive. If he ordered someone to leave, it meant that, 23. In detail, he couldn't be helped anymore. It means that if he was possessed by the power of the evil forces, he would never be able to return to the white side. And he would create problems forever. That's why I had to expel him from the temple and never let him return. But who would have known that after leaving the temple for less than 3 months, he would return and receive the ecclesiastical title of Abbot of Wat Rajorit? In December of that year, with O2 as the supporting party, they received the ceremonial fan at the main chapel of Wat Phra Dhammakaya. This means that Luang Por O1's expulsion order was meaningless. Even O2 didn't comply. How could O6 suddenly receive the ceremonial fan from Luang Por of Wat Rajorit if no one suggested it? It's clear that they must have planned for his return. But another side of the information that Kiang Tawin learned from a true insider is, 24. That is, when O6 was expelled from the temple, he went to America and planned how to use criminal charges against Luang Por Damacceo. He decided that he would use criminal proceedings to disqualify Luang Por Damacceo from his position as abbot. When he returned in December, that's what happened. We can't say this is untrue because the evidence came from someone who truly knows, through spiritual intuition. They received a message and found out who it was. After that, they didn't contact each other again, but they knew that a plan was being made. Then, in the new year of 2016, we saw the news that documents were released regarding a summons. Summoned in a criminal case, sued, so O1 was sued in a criminal case and had to go to acknowledge the charges. It was a summons, right? The details of that have been explained in the old videos. 25. For those who come later, you can listen to all the videos. They're not locked, so you can listen. It's information that everyone, if you are a follower of Luang Por Damacceo, must know. You know and you don't believe it, that's your right. But if you don't know it all, you will remain in delusion for the rest of your life. Therefore, if you know and you don't believe it, you have the right to seek the truth. That's what we want. Every follower of Luang Por must be wise. But lately, it has appeared that in the temple, they are using methods to control O1's followers. They are using sorcery and black magic. Many people, there are witnesses, who were affected by black magic. Fortunately, there were virtuous people nearby who spoke to them and helped remove the black magic. That really happened. These are witness testimonies. But, did we do anything to these witnesses? We are not in a position to do anything. We only acknowledge that it happened. 26. There are people who were actually affected by black magic. And then there's the claim that there is real sorcery practiced in the temple. This is something that has been proven step by step. This means that the information Kiang Tawin learned came from knowledgeable sources, in detail. And then there were witnesses who confirmed what she knew, saying it was true. Therefore, in this aspect, for Kiang Tawin, as the communicator, she knows for sure that it's certain and not fabricated. It's not nonsense, unlike what the temple is trying to say. Isn't it strange? If you are an intelligent, good, and honest person, especially in a temple, if there are any accusations against a monk, they should act quickly to prevent the temple from losing its reputation. If there's information from outside that a monk is doing something wrong, the temple won't let it slide. There must be a monastic disciplinary hearing to give the monk an opportunity to defend himself. 27. And if a neutral person, someone at the administrative level, a committee member at the provincial, district or sub-district level, can judge and decide whether the monk is guilty or not, that's the monastic disciplinary hearing. It's an important and necessary step to strengthen Buddhism and the faith of Buddhist laypeople. It's the correct procedure for wise people. But it's noticeable that since September 2018, it's been learned that a team led by Aiy Pechthong, along with a group of sponsors, has been trying to submit a request to the temple to initiate disciplinary proceedings against 7 monks. It turns out that Aiy didn't inform any news outlets about the letter being sent to the temple. Isn't it strange that on September 23, 2018, 28, Manager Online reported that certain monks were being disciplinary reported, and that Ai's group of sponsors were requesting disciplinary action against them. They even mentioned the monks' names, roles, and positions, and included pictures. This news came from Manager Online's group. Of course, AIY, being one of the sponsors, doesn't know the actual roles and responsibilities of the monks suspected of wrongdoing. Everyone who sponsors Wat Phra Dhammakaya knows that it's a very large temple. Due to the temple's size and its management and administration, the sponsors have no way of knowing the actual positions of each monk. And obtaining those pictures is even more difficult. But how did it end up as news on Manager Online? So, intelligent people should be able to figure it out themselves. If it wasn't authorized by 29, the media division of Wat Phra Dhammakaya, then who would authorize that? It must be someone at a high level, right? And what level of high level? Because the letter requesting disciplinary action against the monk was only sent to the abbot and the head of administration at that time, which was Phra Thadachivo, or O2. Only these two received the documents from I's group. So, who do you think took this information to the journalists? Can you figure that out yet? It wasn't the intention of I's group or the organizers to tarnish the temple's reputation. But it became a matter of the temple, through someone with malicious intent, trying to attack the organizers by retaliating and sending that information to the journalists so that the journalists could publish it and spread the news to the masses, taking advantage of the masses' ignorance. And I want people to think simply, between one of the organizers whose appearance is similar to I's. They are trying to portray him as a representative of Islam because I has a similar complexion and facial features. 30. It's like the person who leaked the news by giving the information to the news agency is also the main culprit who wanted to retaliate. They relied on journalists to publish the complete story, essentially exposing all 7 monks, revealing that these high-ranking monks, whom you believe are involved in corruption to the point of needing an ecclesiastical trial, are the ones being targeted. They released this news to let the readers decide, oh, what a sin to blame high-ranking monks like that, especially with O2 involved. And O2 is a deputy abbot, second only to Phra Dhammachayo. Do you see how this is a form of resistance, a counterattack, a retracing of the actions of the innocent sponsors? Think simply. The sponsors received news and witnesses complaining that this or that monk had committed fraud here and there. They know, they have witnesses, they have evidence. 31. This led the prosecutor to gather the information and request an ecclesiastical trial, allowing these monks to explain and defend themselves as they should. But the temple chose to resort to retracing the actions using the masses and news outlets. Do you think they would easily agree to have the news published by news agencies if they hadn't paid for it? This is the important point that everyone should have realized back then. There were high-ranking individuals, senior monks, managing the temple. Instead of using a straightforward approach like a good person, which if it were Luangpur Dhammachayo, he would have held a press conference to explain what was right and what was wrong. He also said that a monastic disciplinary hearing should be held to give the monks a way out, meaning a way to clear their names and be exonerated. It had to be done as a tradition of Buddhists. And Wat Phra Dhammakaya should set an example. 32. Therefore, at that time, if it were truly Luangpur Dhammachayo, he would have held a monastic disciplinary hearing to clarify their innocence. Monks who passed the disciplinary hearing would be considered to have been protected and had their explanations and defenses done. Whatever the decision of the senior, impartial monks was, it should be followed. If the monk was not guilty, it would be an opportunity for the lay people who had misunderstood to apologize and ask for forgiveness. And the news could be released to clarify that the monk was innocent. But if any monk was truly guilty, then the process had to take its course. Therefore, this is the most just method that intelligent people should use, and it is what Luangpur Damacheo wanted to be done. Isn't it strange that by then, it became news on September 23, 2018. Citing information from documents that IE's group submitted to the abbot, at that time Fra Mu and Fra Tatachivo. 3. These two monks are senior figures in the temple. So how could they suddenly give these documents to reporters to write news articles? This is where everyone should see that there's someone acting as an advisor. Managing this in a way that isn't Fra Damachayo's, not in a way that should be done correctly and virtuously, but rather using cunning, influence, and the media as a tool to pressure and make the media the judge, leading the uninformed public to make shallow assumptions like, oh, they're going to accuse 7 monks. Each with their own position. There are 7 of them. Let me tell you who they are. 1. Fra Tatachivo was the deputy abbot and a close associate of 01. Fra Damacheo, right? Many people didn't believe that this was the monk who would harbor ill intentions or defraud the temple. They absolutely didn't believe it. But you don't know the background of what he's done. 2. Fra Samchai Thanawatho, or Fra Maha Samchai, as we call him, 06. 3. The secretary of 01 was Fra Tu, or Fra Samayam Nazik, as the news reported. He was 01's secretary. What do you think he defrauded, if not the donations given to 01? 4. Fra Thawanzik. Who was the head of the finance department at the time? It's known that Fra Thawanzik and Fra Amnazik were close friends, even before they were ordained. Do you think they would have conspired together? 5. Fra Sanfin was the head of security at the temple. Why would he need a security guard to cooperate? What kind of agreement did they have to make a monk at the level of a security guard cooperate? I heard that he used to be a border patrol officer, or maybe a high-ranking soldier. This is what I heard. He ordained out of faith in Luangpur Damacheo, but he was in charge of security at the temple. He had to be under the orders of Fra Tu. So, from a subordinate's perspective, if they didn't follow orders, they would have to leave. They had to survive, right? It looks like a reasonable and sympathetic explanation, but the truth is, you also incur sin with them. If you're afraid and you take advantage of the situation, you also incur sin. It becomes a matter of building merit, but rather committing sin. You'll only receive the consequences for one lifetime. And another person is. 6. The secretary of 02, Fra Anirik, is the secretary of 02. 02 is Fra Tatachivo, right? So how did you get involved in the fraud to be implicated? It means that 02 was also involved in the fraud. I haven't even mentioned all the names yet. The 7th person. 7. Fra Tawi. At that time, his position was Fra Vinayadhara, meaning he was in charge of the rules and regulations of the monks. Whether the monks did right or wrong according to the rules of Buddhist doctrine and discipline. The monks who are supposed to uphold the rules of Buddhist doctrine and discipline are themselves the ones who are corrupt. 34. So, think about it, everyone. Suddenly, these 7 monks, whom the prosecutor compiled in the letter out of concern because of a leak of information that these 7 monks were corrupt, and were subsequently investigated and arrested by the Anti-Money Laundering Office, AMLO, made it seem that the temple should be asked to file an ecclesiastical case against these 7 monks to clarify the situation so that the lay people who are sponsors don't lose faith in the temple. Because if the temple is supporting monks who are not good, if they are truly bad, the temple should not continue to exist, right? But the sponsors have the right to do so, and they should do so. But isn't it strange that the result is that all these monks are brought into the news? And look at the positions of each of them. These 7 monks hold high positions, they are all leaders. It's like one temple controls everything. These 7 monks are intentionally trying to make the newsreaders see something. 35. They see it as impossible, right? Because a temple of this size, with monks of such high rank, how could they corrupt or do what you suspect? Or perhaps you have a more malicious intention, a deliberate act by those who leaked the information to the news outlets. If you don't think about it, you won't see anything. But when you do think about it, you'll realize it's a plan by people who aren't straightforward, like Luang Por Damacheo, but rather people who think complexly and use psychology, mass motives, and the media to create an image and influence in order to dismiss or discredit the suspicions surrounding the group of sponsors. This is why it makes people in the temple unsure who to believe. Most believe that, oh, those 7 monks, who built the temple with Luangpur, are not Muslims, so why would anyone accuse them? That's how it became such a big issue. 36. And it caused everyone to change their minds, not believing the information presented by the sponsors. If you were smart and truly intelligent, you would do as Luangpur taught, do things correctly, clarify the matter, and set an example. Instead, the temple people chose to take the easy way out, believing it was impossible. This is the negligence of Buddhists, especially the disciples of Wat Phra Dhammakaya, and it became a matter of letting time pass. And you know what? Once time passed, what happened was they went around eliminating witnesses. People who knew or who they thought might have evidence of what he said or that information leaked to someone. They went around investigating, arresting, and eliminating them. In the end, from 2018 until now, who do you think is left who can stand up and point out the truth? Who can be a witness if a trial is held? 37. Who will step forward and say, I remember what he did, or where are the witnesses? They've all been eliminated. If they knew that the real witnesses couldn't be used against them in this situation. Even Luangpur Damacheo was eliminated like this. It makes no one dare to come forward. And are they going to let this continue? If they don't have big plans, if they don't impersonate others hoping to continue cheating for the rest of their lives, then maybe it could be allowed. But you have to understand the instincts of wicked people. I remember Fra Arak saying that associating with wicked people, according to the Buddha, is the most inauspicious thing. Because the first auspicious thing in life is not to associate with wicked people. Just like we mentioned in the audio clip of Luangpur Damajeo at the beginning of this video. He explained how dangerous wicked people are. 38. Here, regarding wicked people, when they are wicked, the guardian monk once said, if you associate with wicked people, your merit won't be enough for them to consume. No matter how much merit you have, wicked people are never satisfied. They will take an inch and take a mile, they will take everything. That's why, in the temple, there is association with wicked people, and it becomes the temple itself. They are abused and harmed by wicked people, and this harm is in the sense of harming merit. Everyone likes to say that Kyongtawan is crazy, nonsensical, sinful, and slanders the monks. You can say whatever you want, but the truth is, what has been destroyed is your merit. All the merit you have accumulated with great difficulty since the beginning of building the temple, the merit you diligently accumulated with Luangpur Damacheo before 2016. And you have been made to lose all this merit, time and time again. This is the ruin, the damage, because merit is the only thing behind happiness and success in human life. But when everyone is made to lose all their merit, what does that mean? 39. It means that, when they seized power, forcing the abbot to leave the temple on February 2, 2019, they didn't expect him to leave. They had already planned for officials to raid the temple and arrest the abbot on civil charges that they had prepared, with themselves as witnesses. It hasn't been reported yet because if it were, it would be a very serious criminal case. The fact that it hasn't been reported means that the officials are cooperating. Cooperating with these 7 monks. Because there is information, news that the Anti-Money Laundering Office, AMLO, has arrested them. They found that these 7 monks were actually involved in fraud. At first, they didn't know what to do. But later, 06 was also arrested. He was the one who advised the monks who were arrested to give statements to the officials saying that they followed the orders of O1, or Fra Damacceo. This means that all the fraud they committed was done under the orders of Fra Damacceo. 40. It means that the person giving the orders is the one at fault, not the one following the orders. Since the person following the orders is not at fault, they become witnesses. And these 7 people, pointing fingers and saying that they followed the orders of O1, must be protected as witnesses. But excuse me, to be granted witness protection, do you know they have to pay 100 million baht per organization? This information comes from someone who really knows. We can't say who they are because if the opposing side finds out, they won't survive. They really know, and by divine providence, the real expert knew and told Kiangtawan. So, we're not the ones verifying it, but we are the ones who know that they know. They know that every organization has to find 100 million baht to protect themselves as witnesses and point the finger at O1. And how do they do it? Where do they find the money? They use the name O1. They raise funds and solicit donations to start anew. There hasn't been any fundraising since Luang Por O1 was charged with a criminal offense in 2016. 41. So, in 2017, they didn't do any big projects at all because they were still in the midst of the case, right? But then in February 2017, Article 44 was used to raid the temple. And they wanted to close the temple after searching for 3 days and not finding O1. This is something that we found out later. It was all orchestrated by O6. He was the one who planned it. The one who said that if they didn't find him, they would have to fire everyone and close the temple and seize it. But at that time, by divine providence, Luang Por O1 was gone. She stayed at the temple. She received divine inspiration. Her children were quick-witted and didn't go anywhere. They stayed to guard the temple. They wanted to stay at the temple. That's why there was a 23-day standoff. Then, by divine intervention, the United Nations came to Thailand for a meeting. They saw the news and the "we need food" sign and wondered what it meant. The sign had only been up for a short time, but the news managed to photograph it. The news was reported briefly, but then it was taken down. 42. But by divine intervention, UN officials saw the news and asked to visit. That's how the conversation started, and the temple was reopened. However, after the temple reopened on March 10, 2017, they started pushing for someone to become the abbot, claiming that the abbot's reputation was tarnished because he was wanted on an arrest warrant and was a fugitive, a suspect. But their intention in releasing that news was to mislead the public about the abbot. He wasn't fleeing from an arrest warrant for committing a crime, but rather from an arrest warrant to face charges. He didn't know the charges. He didn't want to know what charges were leveled against him. And it made it seem like the abbot had already committed a crime because the news was so widely publicized. They did something that was like a huge theatrical performance. Just like what you're seeing in the images and videos now. This is a real event. 43. Someone took it and made it into a movie called Ihapasiko, using real footage from the event. These are real images from the movie. We got them from the movie because we wouldn't have been able to collect these clips ourselves. But they made a documentary. So we were able to get these images from the movie. This is real, not staged by hired actors. This is what I mean when I say that at that time. They received orders to close the temple and evict people because they announced it. They announced that the monks and laypeople in the temple should gradually come and report to the official's desk and then leave the temple. They said it. What does that mean? Because they saw the behavior of those inside. When they went to inspect certain areas, they would seal everything off. If you seal it off and say that people can't use that area anymore, it becomes a big deal for the temple people. They thought, oh, if they announce that people should come and report and leave, it means they're going to close the temple. 44. Right? That's why they became alarmed, thinking, hey, they're going to close the temple. That's why they rioted like that. They rioted and refused to go home. This is a huge merit. For those who joined together to protect the temple at that time, both monks and laypeople, it was a great merit that saved you from all dangers. because you risked your lives to prevent the temple from being destroyed, seized, or closed during that period. But that was in February 2017. And then what? When they decided that Fra Damacio was a fugitive wanted on an arrest warrant, so he had to be removed from his position as abbot. There was an attempt to promote or suggest that 06 or Fra Maha Doctor be the more suitable candidate. And the person promoting this was someone who had always attacked Luang Por Damacio, namely Dr. Manau Manon, who had always spoken out against Luang Por Damacio, 45. But suddenly, when the temple reopened, you appeared on the Chom Kwan program and loudly promoted, saying, "Oh, the person most suitable to be the abbot of Wat Phra Dhammakaya at that time must be Phra Maha Samchai." Isn't that strange? Anyone who watches these kinds of movies often should be able to see what it means. It means they are close, right? And if they attack O1, they attack O1. Look at this sign that was in the news. We need food. They attack O1, but they are on the same side as O6. They admire O6 and attack O1. Do you see? You can't pretend you don't know that O1 and O6 definitely have conflicting policies. And since O1, he is on the side of merit, the side of suppression. He stands firm in his dharma, seeing even the Western hell. He knows what is sinful, what leads to sin. And the consequences of sin are dangerous. He absolutely refuses to do it. Therefore, anything that he says no to, but O6 will do, is a battle between the Buddha and Mara, 46. However, Mara uses O6 as a puppet to fight against O1. So, if anyone didn't understand this before, by this point, they must understand that O6 is on the side of Mara, trying to destroy O1 and persecute O1 from the community. And why? Because O1 is the one who creates merit, and merit is behind the happiness and success in human life. Therefore, Mara doesn't want humans to gain merit. Mara wants humans to commit sins so that they will be his slaves forever. But if someone does good deeds, that merit will lead them to heaven. But if someone does good deeds and becomes a disciple of Luang Por Dhammajo, you have the opportunity to access the Dharma, you have the opportunity to attain enlightenment. You have the opportunity to become a Buddha and escape the cycle of samsara. Who would accept that? They wouldn't accept it. Therefore, they will obstruct the doing of good deeds. It came from the group of O1, or Phra Dhammajo, who was very forceful in his invitation. 47. Therefore, what happened was that during the time when the real Luang Por Dhammajo was inviting people to make merit, you would see that it was all very difficult work with many problems. But in the end, they won, succeeded, and grew bigger and bigger. This is pointing out that when O1 was persecuted by them, they tried to use him as a witness, pointing fingers that their wrongdoing in embezzling temple money was done on the orders of Phra Dhammajo. They even set up a new committee. That group had O6 as an advisor or secretary. We don't remember, but O2 was the chairman. Then they issued an announcement that there would be a new committee on December 26, 2018. And after that, they announced simultaneously that they would be inviting people to make merit by donating gold leaf to illuminate the dome of the Maha Dhammakaya Chedi. They claimed that the dome of the Maha Dhammakaya Chedi was not illuminated, and they wanted people to participate in this merit making. 48. By claiming that someone was the one inviting people. Everyone must know that. Back then, they thought that because Phra Dhammajo was wanted on an arrest warrant, they couldn't use his name for fear of being attacked at the temple. At that time, they believed that the abbot was in the temple, and we also believed that he was in the temple. He was still there then. However, information from Mankan Sun Kai, released in August 2018, stated that while he was indeed in the temple, he couldn't give orders anymore because his secretary had betrayed him and collaborated with O6. Isn't that a vicious cycle? And they were also part of the group of corrupt monks that were in the news. So, corrupt people cooperate with other corrupt people, and they really cut off O1's ability to give orders. This prevented O1 from being able to order anyone or use anyone to do anything for him. Until then, when they resorted to using someone else's name to solicit donations. 49. Phra Thong Sirarazmi. Everyone was happy to be able to make donations again because there hadn't been a new opportunity to do so since the time of Fra Damacio. He was involved in a criminal case, what they call a summons, since 2016. That was the last time we saw Luang Por Damacio attend a grand assembly, receiving 95 awards from over 40 countries on his 72nd birthday, April 22, 2016. After that, he didn't appear again because of the arrest warrants and other issues until this case. From that point, then suddenly, at the end of 2018, that's 2 years from 2017 to 2018, there was a new fundraising campaign. The people at the temple didn't know anything, and someone, whoever they were, didn't dare ask too many questions for fear of not getting merit. They wanted to do it, they wanted to get merit. So they became tools, falling into the trap of evil people. 50. They thought, oh, they just did this much, and they can trick the people at the temple, because the people at the temple really wanted to get merit. That's how it all went. Then he was able to raise a lot of funds. So much so that by January 27, 2019, he had gathered at least this amount from all the donation funds, and I know the exact figure. Someone told me that during the New Year period. Before the New Year, he announced the fundraising on December 26, 2018. By the end of the year, just 4 days later, he had already raised more than 1 billion baht. And he was going to close the project after the New Year, so the donors could pass on the gold plates to be placed on top of the dome. You had to donate at least 100,000 baht to get a gold plate to pass on. Just think how much he could raise. From what I know, just a few days later, in just 1 day, he had raised 350 million baht. So if he needed 700 million baht, it would be a very small matter and he could do it. 51. He used it as a bribe, with 7 monks as witnesses, pointing their fingers that Fra Damacio was the one who ordered the embezzlement of the temple's donation money. Just think about it. And he prepared a plan to raid the temple to arrest Fra Damacio in February 2019. And that's the reason why O1, through a real insider, told Kiangtawan. And also had a dream about what O1 was doing. That's how the writing came out, stating that O1 left Wat Fra Dhammakaya on February 2, 2019. By sending a small letter with a photograph saying that he had left. They used a clever method to get 06 to meet him, and 06 believed it was true. And 06 knew that Fra Dhammakaya was gone. So it was easy for them. They didn't need to hire people to storm the temple or create a situation. They just impersonated 01. 52. Because they had already used someone to successfully solicit donations to this extent, they wouldn't shoot themselves in the foot. So they used the opportunity. Since the person forging the message was already O1's secretary, and that person was one of their own who had betrayed O1, it meant they could eat from the head, tail, and middle. All while claiming to be O1. Since O1 left the temple on February 2, 2019, they seized everything and immediately did everything to get the money back. So how did that matter become related to the purple figure? At first, nobody knew how the purple figure was involved until around July or August 2023. On the Facebook page of a novice monk, Novice Kao Q Sadet, he wrote in large letters, seemingly overjoyed, that he had received a scholarship, a Pali scholarship for the 6th year, from this Kumari. 53. And what level in the palace do you think it is that has a name ending in Kumari? That's why there's only one person who is purple. It means that Purple made a donation to the Pali Scholarship Fund for Novice Kao Q Sadet. And the novice monk posted this in 2023, saying it was the 6th year. Going back, he had received the scholarship since 2017. Therefore, the connection with Purple was already there, as everyone knew that Kao Q Sadet belonged to 06. They had been involved since then, 2017, which was also the period when there was a criminal case of defamation against 01 in 2016, and we just found out about that. I've explained before that this was a plan by 06. So, 06 managed everything to displace 01 from his position as abbot. Even going so far as to file a civil lawsuit accusing 01 of ordering the embezzlement of temple funds. Why didn't they let it become news? Just think, if it became news and a criminal case. It would mean that, 54. They wanted to slander O1, but then those who love or believe O1 would oppose them, right? So they couldn't let it become news and a criminal case. They had to do it secretly with the authorities. I don't know how much bribe money they paid, but since they demanded 100 million baht per monk for protection, who do you think they split it with? And did the temple have the means to protect those 7 monks within the specified time? You can think about that. So, everything started from there. The civil case that arose without becoming a criminal case because of this. And then, to add to that, suddenly, the criminal case against him expired. In March 2026, he was supposed to come out. But he couldn't because the case was still pending. If he came out, they would arrest him. But because he didn't come out, they were able to use imposters to deceive people. Because the people making the arrests are the same people. 55. They use imposters. Why would they arrest the imposters? They want to arrest the real person, not the imposter. So do you understand now why they allow people in the temple to spread rumors that Luangpur is there, that he's visiting schools and all that? It's all impostorship. If it were the real Luangpur Dhammachayo, the first thing you would notice is that he would never allow you to create merit, perform rituals, or undertake so many large projects from 2019 until now. There's no way he would allow you to do such big projects. Importantly, if it were the real Luangpur Dhammachayo, if he was still facing charges, he would never ask for donations again because it would create karmic consequences. It would be deception. As long as he hasn't been able to clear his name, he wouldn't create new karma. Karma that causes misunderstanding. 56. The karma that causes people to slander the venerable monk, who is innocent, is not the same. The devotees, or even outsiders who receive the news, will never know the truth until they know it. Only then will they realize they have committed a sin. And committing a sin against the leader of the anti-monarchy is a sin, but it is much heavier. Luangpur Dhammachayo sees the sin, he sees the consequences. He absolutely forbids anyone from inflicting sin on him, directly or indirectly. He won't let it happen at all. That's the difference. Everyone. So, even though he passed away a long time ago, his followers still deny the truth coming from Kiangtawan, and the opposing side keeps reading and gathering information to be aware. To know what's going on, to counter their actions. They are afraid that we will expose them. But at some point, they realize that we don't intend to do that. 57. But we want the people of the temple to know the truth. Who will gain merit by exposing the truth or by solving the problem correctly? That's where the merit comes from. Who knows, who thinks, and who will act. Those who are capable must do so. At the very least, you must do what is right first. If there are doubts, you should clear them up. Clearing up doubts means filing a formal accusation against whichever monk you suspect. Even if you stage a scene, it's still something you should do to alleviate public concerns. However, the temple has chosen to remain silent and let the information from the Kiangtawan faction remain within a small group. Since the majority of people on the temple's side choose to believe the temple's internal affairs, the temple's coordinators, and the monks within the temple, they have chosen to turn a blind eye and deaf ear as instructed. This is because of threats that have been made since 2018, after the information about the hidden dragon was revealed. 58. He didn't even deny that the whole story was untrue, but he used the words, nonsense, unbelievable, and then he banned people from reading and sharing it. He said that anyone who didn't believe it would be expelled from the temple, meaning those inside. If anyone outside didn't believe it, they wouldn't be allowed into the temple anymore. It was similar to how Kiangtawan was banned from entering the temple. Kiangtawan and her partner haven't been to the temple since then. There was a test. We just wanted to know if it was true after such an order was issued. On September 10th of that year, we went there for my grandmother's birthday to make merit and also to test whether we were really banned from entering the temple. How would they ban us? How would they know if we entered or left? And we really did find out. Soon after we were near the glass room, they parked their car and waited for us. They asked us to come in as we were about to leave. We hadn't done anything wrong. 59. We just parked there to see if anyone would wait for us. It turned out they did, and they knocked on the door, saying, Fra Sanfin is here to see you. We asked why he needed to see us. We hadn't done anything wrong. We said he needed to talk to us. So, they invited us to meet and talk. The monk said he had been ordered to ask if the person beside us was a dragon in disguise or not. He said it was a man who sent messages about the dragon in disguise. And the person beside us said, I am not. I have already answered that I am not. I am not a liar. Fra Sanfin confirmed this. And he was relieved to hear it and could pass the answer on to them. So we asked if we could go in and chant the Dhammacakka Sutta at the cloister. Fra Sanfin said, Please, no. I am a junior monk. And I have received orders not to enter. I must ask you to leave. This is him citing an order from a higher authority. 60. A junior monk cannot object. We said, Even though you know we haven't done anything wrong? He said, Yes, but there is an order like that. This is clear, the circular letter ordering entry to the temple. Even though it didn't have anyone's name on it, actually had an actual person who issued it. That person was impersonating someone else, that's why it wasn't signed. But it became a real order. It means there was a real person who issued it, using real authority. They could impersonate anyone, but the order was real, prohibiting entry. What are they afraid of? They are afraid that we will tell people that something like this is happening, and then people will want to investigate. If people in the temple spread the word, so, if they want to investigate everything, what will the monks in the temple do to the people in the temple? Can they bring the police and arrest everyone? They can't, right? They're afraid the public will find out. 61. Whether it's true or not, they don't want anyone to know because it will be uncontrollable. They've successfully used intimidation. What the people in the temple fear most is not being able to enter the temple and not being able to make merit. They didn't look a little further, thinking, if there's a mafia in the temple that can control you like this, they're not monks anymore. And would you still believe that what the temple is making you do is meritorious? You have to think a little further. But the people in the temple didn't think that way at all. So it became a matter of being controlled. And then in 2023, there was the use of drugs and sorcery. There are many stories, which I've already told here. Just to summarize that Kyongtawan Su Suthama is telling the truth that came from Owan, who learned it from a true expert. Kyongtawan learned it from that true expert and promised Owan that she wouldn't tell anyone because the people in the temple want to know who the true expert is. Just like I said earlier. He asked me to ask the person beside him, 62. Are you the hidden dragon? At that time, I used the phrase, hidden dragon, but the truth is, he's the one who knows the real identity. Because the hidden dragon in the story is O1, but O1 conveyed the information through the real identity expert, and Kyongtawan only received the information to pass it on. When he thought it wasn't a woman, but possibly someone beside Kyongtawan, he asked. And the person beside him confirmed that it wasn't him. So Kyongtawan knows it's not him. It's not the person beside him, because Kyongtawan knows who the real identity expert is. Therefore, Kyongtawan has to protect against the danger that would come to deal with the real identity expert. Right? We have to promise not to tell anyone who he is, and only then can we be given the task of passing on the information. At the same time, you might ask why the opposing side doesn't just deal with Kyongtawan to end the matter? Because the opposing side wants to know what O1 knows. 63. What orders O1 gives that would be a threat to them? If it reaches a point where they have to gather people to eliminate them or obstruct them, they will probably have to act. But coincidentally, in the past, Kyongtawan only sent news and information. She wasn't the one giving orders. She wasn't the project owner. And O1 didn't order Kyongtawan to do that. She only asked her to send news because the news was distributed to various groups. It's not like she could order any group she wanted. If a group wasn't efficient enough to do something, she couldn't order them. So, she wasn't. They call her a general? No, she wasn't. She just delivered the news. She wasn't the one giving orders, not a regent or anything like that. No, she wasn't. She just conveyed the news. So, because of her position, the opposing side also wanted to know what she was going to say, which would come from Owen. They believed it came from Owen, otherwise, they wouldn't be watching her like this. But they know that the people at the temple don't believe her. 64. They're happy about that because the people at the temple believe them more than they believe us. They benefit both ways. As for the people at the temple, once they believe the temple and are told not to contact Kyongtawin to read the news, they will be controlled forever. The people at the temple will always be watching what Owen tells them to do. What this group is going to do next, and anything that will benefit them, they'll take it also. The reason I'm telling you all this is to say that on June 26th, we just posted information about our dream, which indicates that the temple wants someone like us to work for them because we're easy to use. Once you believe in merit, you move forward fully. Think for yourself, and don't need orders or supervision. And you don't have to pay because you only get merit, not money. So they want someone like this. But they know they won't get us. 65. Because we refused in the video, saying we wouldn't cooperate with them. We're better off the way we are. So that's why they came up with their next plan. They came up with a plan to use a robot to contact people at the temple who haven't joined yet, or people who have changed, or people they see who have liked, followed, or commented on the Kyongtawin page. They went to investigate, found our Line and Facebook accounts, which isn't hard to find, and then contacted them privately. For example, recently, a friend of mine suddenly received a message from someone named AIY Pechthong. Isn't that strange? I don't know what AIY is up to now. The latest news is that he's still in jail, arrested for something related to Islam. We have nothing to do with him, okay? We don't know anything about it. But suddenly, a Line account named AIY messaged a friend. How do you think that Line account got there? If AIY is someone in prison. 66. Who confiscated his phone, and who used it to create those programs? Kyongtawan's latest dream revealed that in the temple, they are using puppets or robots to ask and answer questions to find people who are in league with Kyongtawan. People who follow him believe what Kyongtawin says comes from Owen, who is supposedly a true expert. They want this group of people. So they use a deceptive method by messaging them to say that they have been contacted by Owen. Therefore, they want the listeners to assume that they are the true expert. Because Kyongtawin has never told anyone who knows who the true expert is. So, if they claim to be the true expert that Owen has been using all along, people might believe them. It makes me think of a group of friends who used to be with us, and they were dissatisfied with some things about the group's methods, and they left, not as enemies, just because they didn't like it. And later, 67, we found out that they started a new group and invited people we know to join. They joined him, and there was mention of someone within the group, using some name. And there were statements praising that person, saying they received instructions from Owen, from a revered monk. They wrote with great confidence that it was definitely a revered monk, and asked to follow in his footsteps, etc. So we were suspicious about who that person was, because they definitely didn't use a real name. And isn't it strange that that group believes them? They believe that group, they believe that person. This kind of thing happened at the end of last year with our own group. There was someone who claimed to have been contacted by Owen. But later we found out they got the information from Dragon of Hidden Bodies. They can still be considered part of the same group. But the way they did it became that they were recruiting people from our group to join them, and importantly, they said, "Don't let us know." Isn't that strange? "68. You're using the same policies from the same information that we ourselves posted, but you're claiming you received orders from O1 through Dragon of Hidden Bodies, which you got from there. And you're saying, 'Don't let us know.' What does that mean? Actions that are clearly on the same side, but you don't want us to know, mean it's not true. You're afraid that if we know, you won't be able to do it. You're afraid that once we know, you won't be able to do it because our people won't believe you. But how is that any different from what's happening in the temple? This is the same strategy used by the forces of evil. They come in every form, but specifically targeting people who used to be with us, who used to believe us, means they've done it before. They specifically target people who used to believe us, claiming that they have direct contact through a true expert, that O1 is behind it all. This becomes a key point they want. People who believe that O1 has special contact through a true expert, believing that Kyungtawan received information from a true expert. 69. The information from O1 is real, but who believes that? They'll use this group of people to impersonate O1 or a true expert, saying that O1 wants them to do this, that, or the other. They manipulate things in the temple in one way. But they'll also manipulate people who don't go to the temple and believe in O1 like us, using special methods. They'll target this group as well. This means the forces of evil won't let go. Because even if this group doesn't go to the temple, if they're misled by other sources, they still have the potential to become a force for the forces of good. Therefore, they won't let go. They will lure them in and use them again. Importantly, this group of people is very skilled and capable. If they believe and have faith, they will go full steam ahead. It will be similar to the Kyungtawan case. And recently, 70. As I mentioned before, one group already went along with it in this way. But they still believe in the dragon hiding its body. But these later groups, just a few months ago, suddenly formed a group and invited our people to join. But in that group, there is one individual, I don't know who, but what they said in the meetings made the people in that group believe that the information really came from O1. And they believed it so much that they even prayed and followed it. This is very evil, everyone. At that time, we didn't know whose process it was to lure them into a trap. They were doing fine if they didn't join anyone. They still had a chance to escape and return to Dusapuri. But when they were lured into a group and separated from us, while still claiming to be from O1, it's the same strategy they use on other groups. This just happened around the middle of last month. 71. And then, suddenly, we had a dream. And this dream is the answer. He used a robot program to create a line account, claiming that this line account functioned like Kyungtawan or acted as a direct contact for O1. It's like he's saying he's the real expert, but he doesn't use that term. He says he was contacted directly by O1, and O1 told him to do this and that, depending on how he chooses to say it. It means that if someone wants to believe that the information comes from O1, if they are following Kyungtawan, they still have to go through another step. O1 has to go through the real expert first before meeting Kyungtawan, and then Kyungtawan tells them. So, in that group, it's like that person is the real expert. Whatever O1 tells them, they just pass it on. It became a situation where the group that left us thought that account was more reliable. We don't know if he's trying to discredit us or not. 72. Or he's trying to project an image superior to ours because he claims to be the real expert, making this group think, hey, this must be the real expert who used to contact Kyungtawan. And if it's the same person he's trying to compare himself to in order to gain credibility. He had to say that Kyungtawan had made mistakes or failed in his work, whatever it was, and then cause O1 to have to contact him directly, by having a true expert contact everyone who respects O1. Or whatever he said, it depends on what he says. Since he took the information from Kyungtawan's posts, I don't know if he put it into some program or if he had an AI produce it. And then used that AI as a puppet to find people who believe in true experts and contact O1. And then used it as a program to find people who believe in these things and group them together, for what? To catch them all, to leave no one who can truly follow O1 in a pure way. 73. Because if he leaves only one group left, the group that follows Kyungtawan, which is only a few people, they believe in it, so they want to destroy them all. So he started using robots, acting like true experts who don't need to follow Kyungtawan anymore, and everyone can contact O1 directly through that one person, without having to rely on Kyungtawan to manage or control them. This will have a big effect on people who are leaders and don't easily give in to anyone, who are stubborn. This makes them not submit to Kyungtawan, Because he thinks he's cool or whatever, he'll fall into this kind of trap. He'll fall into this robot trap. Why the word robot? Because in the dream, it's a robot. It means there's data input to create robots to lure people who believe in special methods to get them into their trap. Once they're trapped, they'll be hired to work for them. So they have to lure them with benefits. 71. Benefits, like merit, getting to meet Luangpur 01, getting merit, being in the front row, whatever they say, to trick people with the promise of merit. And these people will pretend to be dead without taking the money. This is the trap for people who, even if they're not deluded by the temple, if you're deluded by yourself, you'll fall into another trap. It's the devil, not a pig. Luangpur Dhammachayo said this already. So, it's dangerous. They will eliminate all those who are trying to suppress it. Besides getting those who lack intelligence to fall into the delusion of the temple and get drugged, they will also lead those who aren't deluded to believe special methods. Using phrases from Kyungtawin in his pager videos, saying the same thing to make people believe that I am the true knower. And 01 didn't tell me to contact Kyungtawin anymore because Kyungtawin might have some problems that he wants to discuss there. 72. And that's why the people who went there can't tell us. Do you all understand? So, from the dream, it confirms that 01, through the true knower, told us that the role of the true knower will be used as bait to lure people who are like Kyungtawin but don't follow Kyungtawin. Listen carefully. People who are like Kyungtawin but don't follow Kyungtawin. They want the importance that Kyungtawin has, and that leads them into a trap. A robot posing as the true knower who brings information or news from 01 to everyone. And for this reason, it means that Kyungtawan's status will be imitated by people who create fake true knowers, claiming to be the same person but working for other groups. 01 is very worried that if these people believe in that, they won't survive because it's another form of delusion. You will be tricked into doing sinful work. 73. Another thing, but it's the same group. They are also from the temple. But they are secretly playing a different role in order to gain the support of people who believe in Kyungtawin in a special way. They're using you to weaken them further. If you work well for them, you'll survive, and they'll use you, claiming you're gaining merit. And if you obstruct them, or you realize you're not cooperating, they'll find a way to get rid of you. You won't survive. Now it's become an urgent and very important matter, and it's been confirmed that from now on, in the past, 01 never used other true enlightened beings. And that true enlightened being only gave instructions through Kyungtawin. There are no other lines. No one can falsely claim to be one. Even though 01's Dhammakaya teachings allow him to do that with many people, he will not use duplicate work or give instructions to the same people. He will not create problems. 74. Whoever he uses, he will continue to use that person. In the past, he used Kyungtawin and the work progressed steadily. Even though it wasn't flashy and he couldn't bring in a large group of people, he maintained this good group. Therefore, this is a result that 01 is satisfied with. 2. Since 01 is no longer the true enlightened being giving instructions to others, it eliminates any excuse that anyone could claim that 01 used them to give instructions to other groups. Deleting the excuse means there's no truth to it at all. It also means they're lying. And from the dream, it confirms that they weren't people, they were robots. They were programs they created, filled with the true knowledge of Kyungtawan's style and information. They put that robot to work with people who don't submit to Kyungtawin but want to be like Kyungtawin. They will fall into their trap because true enlightened beings won't contact anyone other than Kyungtawin. Is that clear? 75. Secondly, from now on, 01 will no longer use true enlightened beings to contact Kyungtawin to give information. That means when you don't see Kyungtawin posting anything anymore, it means there is no information coming from 01 through true enlightened beings. It's not that she's giving it to someone else to tell you. If you hear anyone claiming that 01 told you something through a true enlightened being, or through anyone who has a role similar to a true enlightened being, or through anyone who has a role similar to Kyungtawin but isn't Kyungtawin, know that it's fake, a lie, and it's those people in the temple. They won't let anyone go because they are on the side of evil. It's not that they are evil themselves, but they are being used by the central body that the Demon King uses, which they cannot see. Because they are blinded by delusion, they don't see the divine within themselves, they don't see that there's an evil force controlling them. Do you understand? Therefore, as I said earlier, point 1 is that in the past, O1 only used true experts to provide information through Qiantawin, from the beginning of the story, dragon hiding its body, until today. There was no one else. 76. Therefore, anyone who hears or listens to anyone claiming that O1 ordered them to do something, or anyone doing anything, no matter what group it is a fake. It's all just claims. That's point 1. Point 2 is that from now on, if Qiantawin doesn't post anything anymore, it means that there will be no more information from the real O1 through true experts. That means the true experts will have another role, and Qiantawin will no longer need to relay information to anyone. They will also be fulfilling other roles. The divine being won't let them remain idle, they will always be accumulating merit. But what kind of merit or what it is something that they won't talk about unless they're told to. So, if you don't see any more posts from Qiantawin from now on, please know that what I've said before is always true. Anything that was previously provided as primary knowledge, a way to survive, or whatever it may be for those accumulating merit on Facebook pages and YouTube, is all valid. You can go back and listen to it, review it, and until you attain enlightenment, you will be able to contact the real O1 directly. You won't need to go through anyone else anymore. 77. Therefore, from this point on, if you hear anyone claiming to be O1, it's not true. If you hear anyone claiming to have received it from O1, it's not true. If you hear anyone claiming to be doing what Qiantawin used to do, that's also not true. Because there will be no more of that. Everything is over. Regarding this group in this lifetime, it ends here. Those who are in contact already know what to do next without Qiantawin. They don't need a true expert to tell them anything anymore. You can take as much merit as you are comfortable with, but please adhere to the same principles and goal and move forward. Stick together and go together. Don't try to recruit new members because it will cause chaos, as you cannot verify whether the new members are on your side or on the enemy's side. The enemy is very evil, very sophisticated. They use technology from AI to robots. We are ordinary merit makers and virtuous people, not AI professionals. We can't find fault with them. 78. We'll only be tricked into giving them information. Therefore, they will also get information from the Qiantawin page. We can't shut it down. So, if anyone claims to say something that is exactly like the information from Qiantawin, you can't believe them. You can't believe them. You have to believe only us, who have been together all along. And focus on the goal you already know and achieve it. Stick together, don't accept strangers, and don't go back to those who have left before. Don't let them in, and everyone will survive safely. We will meet again if you all reach the Dhammakaya. Confirmed, everyone. This is from O1 out of concern, which is why I'm speaking like this. At least those who follow on YouTube will hear this. As for the future of the group, after the era of O1, we will move on to the era of Grandmother Chan, 79. As for what will happen next, those who are still practicing Dhamma well and praying well, you will find clues. You will definitely find a group working on this. That's all we can say, everyone. After this, don't believe anything anyone says. Believe only what Qiantawin has told you. We guarantee that everything we've said is true. And it's still there. It comes from the real O1, through a truly knowledgeable person, the most genuine one. And a truly knowledgeable person will not betray Qiantawin, will not do anything sinful to themselves. And O1 will not lie either. When O1 confirms that it comes through a truly knowledgeable person for Qiantawin to convey the message, there will be no one else. Okay, that's all I can confirm for now. Qiantawin can only report this much news. I send merit to everyone. I offer my blessings to everyone with pure hearts, not caught in delusion. In the temple, from now on, If anyone receives information that makes them suspicious or gives them wisdom, they will probably come looking for it from our page. 80. And then they will probably find a way to do something. When that happens, good things will happen. But if that doesn't happen at all, that's okay too. The blueprint for success from now on will have a group of people who have received the blueprint and will continue until they achieve success. If anyone wants something, if your heart is pure and not deluded, you pray, and you will definitely find the group and team that works for you. But the groups that are already working in Kyungtawan's group, continue doing so. Maintain yourselves, stick together well. Each person has their own special qualities. Therefore, nothing is exactly the same. There will be disagreements, conflicts, and misunderstandings. But everyone possesses essential qualities that bring them together for an important mission. Please be patient, extend loving kindness, help each other, don't abandon each other. And don't bring anyone new into the plan. That's all. Then everyone will be saved, and we will meet again in the 7th chakra, the center of the body. I offer my blessings to everyone. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.